Visualization. This was a term that was coined by one of the great landscape photographers of our time, Ansel Adams. It's the act of seeing a photograph in your mind before you actually capture the photograph. I know that for most people this won't come naturally, will actually take some work, and might actually even sound completely absurd. But when you really start to think about visualization and the art of seeing before capture, it's a pretty powerful tool. What I'm hoping is, as we go through this photographic journey together, collectively we'll all become better at visualizing a photograph before capturing the image. Recently on a photo tour with McKay Photography Academy, we were in downtown San Francisco at the Transamerica building in particular, photographing its beautiful lines and patterns and details. But unlike a previous visit to the Transamerica building, this time there was construction going on. So it was very easy to be overwhelmed by all the clutter and chaos that surrounds you naturally in a big city, but then is intensified by all the construction that was going on around us. And whether you looked straight ahead or to the left of you or to the right of you or even above you, it just seemed like there was so much going on. And finding a great photograph seemed nearly impossible. Add in the fact that the weather on this particular day wasn't very pleasing either. It was raining cats and dogs off and on. It was really cloudy, pretty miserable, kind of cold. But all it took was moving your feet around the corner and looking and visualizing a picture in your mind before actually capturing it. Did you begin to kind of see things unraveling? Look past all of the obvious distractions and start looking for things that actually made more sense. Looking up, I started to see something happening here. What you might see is the building or the overhang in which I'm standing under, and then the two buildings behind it. But taking a page out of my design training, I start looking for patterns, repetition, rhythm, and unity. And when I start to look for these things, I start uncovering things. In fact, if I look a little bit closer past this overhang and I get a little bit closer with my eyes and my mind, I start to see some patterns unfolding on this building here to the left. There's like this honeycombing pattern that's happening in front of us. And if you catch it at just the right angle, you get really beautiful shapes and patterns. What my mind was visualizing was this right here. And this was taken at a focal length of about 100 millimeters. So while it seems really close, it's pretty attainable for most of us. A lot of us buy cameras with kit lenses that easily go up to 100 or 200 millimeters. Using those longer focal lengths, we can capture things like this. Now, the one challenge or the one problem that I had with this angle was that you could see in the reflection of the glass the building which was to my right. And that seemed to break up the patterns and make the rhythm and unity feel a little out of tune. So by moving my feet to the left of where I was standing, I was able to get a vantage point where I still had, at 100 millimeters, the rhythm and unity that I was looking for and the repetition and the patterns, but without all the distraction in the windows. This gave me a much more balanced look and feel to the image. After taking about 10 to 15 different shots just playing with the composition, I was finally done and had captured what I was looking for. The moral here, as said, visualizing with your mind as well as moving your feet, looking past the distractions, thinking through an image is what made it possible to capture something like this. It's very simple, it's very beautiful. I know it's not for everyone, but it was definitely for me. Now the next step, get home, get this into Lightroom, play with the process, see what I come up with, and that's what we're going to do next. So now that I've captured the image, brought it into Lightroom, went through all my selections and decided which photograph I actually loved from this particular scene, it's now time to go through the process of editing it. The nice thing about this photograph is it was captured pretty decently in camera, so there really isn't much that it needs in the way of editing. So I don't have to spend much time processing this photograph, but I definitely need to process the photograph. It can't come out of the camera in a raw form and then not be processed because the colors are flat, the contrast is flat, the sharpness is flat, everything is flat. So I'm going to just take you through the process real quickly. Here on the left hand side, you can see my history panel of everything that I did to this picture. And the process was real simple. Because the day was raining, it was overcast, it's San Francisco, there's probably a lot of smog. I knew right away that the first thing I was going to do to this image was go ahead and process a little bit of dehaze on it and just that alone did quite a number to this photograph. But one of the things that I find with the dehaze slider time and time again is that not only does it punch up the contrast levels, it also punches up the color. So my next step was to go and address the warm tones that this photograph was given due to the dehaze amount. Slight temperature adjustment added a little bit more blue. And from here, everything else I was going to do pretty much was just to adjust my highlights, my shadows, and more contrast. After that, a little clarity bump for a sharpening kind of feel. And something that you'll notice when you use clarity quite often is that your shadows again will become a little darker. So I applied a shadow adjustment to compensate for that. A little crop to straighten this out. And the reason that I wanted to straighten this out in particular was because if you look here at this bottom line, I wanted this bottom line here to run parallel with the actual bottom of the frame line. And so you don't have to do that, but that's just kind of what I was looking at. And so now you've got all of these horizontal lines going at a nice parallel to the frame, and then all the other lines move at a nice 45-degree angle from corner to corner. So this kind of elevates the composition and makes it a little bit more fun. After that, I added a little bit of vignetting and a little bit of sharpening. And once I got to there, I just added a little bit more vibrance, a little bit more saturation, and then we were done. So quick before and after, and you can see that with not a lot of work, you can go from this to this. It's pretty dramatic. And the nice thing about this is once I've gotten this edit done, the last and final thing that I could choose to do was to go and pick a different composition from the same scene, which I did here, and apply those same exact presets to this photograph. This one in particular is the same as before, but it's moving at a different angle. Instead of being parallel to the bottom of the frame, this one is going parallel vertically to the frame, as you can see here. So here you have them side by side. Again, you've got a horizontal and a vertical. It's really up to you which one you decide to choose, which one you prefer. I like both of them. Both of the edits are pretty consistent. All of this was captured simply by moving your feet, looking around, and visualizing your image before capturing your image. It always starts with your mind before it ever starts with your camera. So that's it. Episode 14, Sunday School. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for your support. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. That always helps. And if you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to this channel where we have lots more content coming to you soon. And as always, thank you for watching.